Imagine walking through life with an unshakable serenity, where the storms of emotion rarely disturb you, and where every challenge meets you with absolute calm. This is not a fantasy, it is a reality for those with a Stoic personality. Although Stoic philosophy has been discussed in many contexts, we seldom stop to identify its characteristics in an everyday person. Have you ever wondered if your behavior and reactions to life reflect this? Each of these signs is a compass that guides us toward a more fulfilling and centered life, and who knows, at the end of this journey, you may discover that you've been a Stoic all along without even knowing it. Let me know in the comment section which Stoic signs you already discover in yourself, and subscribe the channel to support me. Control over emotions. Let's dive into the first sign, indicating an inclination toward a Stoic personality. If you've ever admired someone who appears unflappable in the midst of a crisis, while others around them lose their composure, you're likely encountering someone with a Stoic trait. Stoic philosophy teaches us that emotions are not inherently bad. It's not about suppressing them, but understanding them, and above all, not allowing them to dominate us. A Stoic understands that feeling emotions is natural, but also knows that yielding to emotional impulses without reflection can lead to actions we later regret. Let's take an example of a common situation. You're stuck in traffic, and someone abruptly cuts you off. Many people's initial reaction might be anger or the desire to confront the other driver. However, someone with a Stoic inclination will acknowledge the emotion but choose not to act impulsively based on it. Instead of yelling or taking impulsive action, they simply continue their journey, recognizing that getting angry won't change the situation and will only add stress to their day. Another example could be receiving unexpected criticism at work. While some may feel hurt or defensive, a Stoic will objectively evaluate the criticism, take the constructive feedback, and set aside any negative emotions that are unhelpful. This emotional control does not mean being robotic or insensitive. In fact, it's a deep recognition of our emotions and a conscious choice of how to respond to them. It's a balance between feeling and acting wisely. As we move on to the next sign, reflect on how many times you've allowed your emotions to dominate you, and how many times you've decided to act despite them. The difference may lie in how much Stoicism is within you. Dichotomy of control. This is our second sign, and perhaps one of the most powerful. Epictetus introduced this concept and taught us that there are things we have control over and things we do not. Our own actions, desires, and opinions fall within our control, while the body, reputation, and most external events do not. Understanding this differentiation is essential for living a fulfilling and peaceful life. Imagine you're waiting for a flight, and it's delayed due to bad weather. People around you show signs of impatience, frustration, and some even argue with airport staff. However, someone with a Stoic mindset would likely have a book, or find productive ways to pass the time, accepting that they have no control over the weather or the airline's decisions. It's natural to feel fear or sadness, but a Stoic, while experiencing these emotions, doesn't allow them to overwhelm them. Instead of lamenting, they seek to understand the illness, follow medical recommendations, and use the recovery time for learning or reflection. They recognize they can't change the onset of the illness, but can control their response to it. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It's an active stance of understanding, adaptation, and growth. The importance of looking inward. Those with Stoic tendencies understand that to navigate the external world, they must first understand their inner world. And here we arrive at our third sign, an emphasis on self-reflection and introspection. It's a powerful tool in the hands of those seeking an authentic and meaningful life. Stoics don't see self-reflection as a luxury or a passing activity. They see it as a necessity. This practice allows them to identify areas for improvement in their lives, understand their emotions, and ultimately make decisions aligned with their values and principles. Imagine a person with a Stoic personality in their daily life. After a long and possibly stressful day, instead of immediately immersing themselves in distractions or entertainment, they take a moment for themselves, sit in a quiet place, perhaps with a journal in hand, and reflect on the day's events. This daily practice of introspection can take the form of structured questions, and here we encounter a classic Stoic exercise. At the end of the day, many Stoics ask themselves three essential questions. What did I do well? What did I do wrong? What can I improve? These questions are not meant for self-flagellation or ego inflation, but to offer a clear and objective view of their daily actions and decisions. For example, if they lost their patience with a colleague during the day, they'll acknowledge that behavior in their reflection and seek ways to handle similar situations with more equanimity in the future. If they selflessly helped someone, they'll celebrate it as an act aligned with their values. Self-reflection is a compass guiding towards self-improvement. Indifference to others. We live in an era of likes and dislikes, where every activity, decision, or lifestyle can be instantly judged by the social circle. But imagine someone who, in the midst of social expectations and traditions among friends, decides to radically change their weekend routine. This is our fourth sign: indifference to others' opinions. Let's imagine Juan. For years, his weekend routine involved partying with friends, enjoying the night and alcohol. However, one day, he decides he wants to make a change in his life. He chooses to go out less frequently and limit alcohol consumption, not because he dislikes it, but because he feels there are other activities that can enrich him personally, such as reading, practicing a sport, or simply resting. The reaction of his friends is mixed. Some support and admire his decision, seeing him as an example of self-discipline and personal growth. However, others feel offended or betrayed. They say he has become boring, that he's not the same as before. Some even insinuate that Juan thinks he's superior for not wanting to stick to the same routines. For Juan, with his Stoic mindset, these opinions, whether supportive or critical, do not define his worth or decision. He understands that each person has their own path and priorities. The decision he has made aligns with his current values and what he feels he needs at this moment in his life. Comments, whether of approval or disapproval, do not alter his conviction. This detachment from others' opinions, born not from indifference to others, but from respect for oneself and one's decisions, is a distinctive feature of Stoic mentality. In a world where social pressure can be overwhelming, having the ability to listen, but not necessarily adhere to others' opinions, is a true show of inner strength. Focus on action rather than the result. With this reflection on authenticity and respect for our decisions, we move on to the next sign, which speaks to the intrinsic value of effort and action. Now, as the next step, let's delve into a characteristic that is truly powerful, a focus on action rather than the result. Marcus Aurelius, the famous Roman emperor and Stoic, left us with the phrase, "Focus on what is essential, forget the rest." This goes beyond merely concentrating on a task. It is a call to value the journey, the process, every step of the way, as much as or even more than the final goal. Think of a marathon runner. While crossing the finish line is their goal, they know that to get there, they must focus on each stride, each breath, each kilometer they cover. Each step contains within it all the other steps. If they only concentrate on the final result, they could become distracted, tire too quickly, or even lose their way on the path. In daily life, this idea manifests in various ways. Imagine working on a work project. If you only think about the final presentation and not the research, development, and review, you might end up with mediocre work. But if you value each stage, immerse yourself in each step of the process with full dedication, you'll not only achieve a quality result but also enjoy and learn during the journey. It's easy to become obsessed with goals, especially in a society that values success so much. But Stoicism reminds us of the importance of living in the present, of focusing on what we have, because at the end of the day, it is in the present where life truly happens. Seeking simplicity. Seneca, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, once said, "It is not the burden that breaks you, but how you carry it." This quote reflects the notion of simplifying our lives by eliminating the unnecessary self-imposed burdens that complicate our existence. In an era where information overload and a culture of excess seem to be the norm, simplicity becomes a revolutionary act. But how do those with a Stoic personality practice this? Let's imagine decision-making, where many might engage in extensive, paralyzing analysis. A Stoic would ask themselves, is this in line with my principles and values? Does this bring me closer to my fundamental goals? By doing so, the decision-making process becomes much simpler and more straightforward. The Stoic technique of premeditatio malorum, which involves visualizing potential adversities or problems, also contributes to simplicity. By anticipating errors and complications, Stoics are better prepared to face them, opting for simpler solutions and avoiding larger long-term problems. A contemporary Stoic figure, Ryan Holiday, highlights this pursuit of simplicity in his work. Holiday reminds us that less is more, and by eliminating noise and distractions, we can find clarity and purpose. Simplicity, in essence, does not mean lack but focus. It is a conscious choice of what to allow into our lives and what to discard in order to live more authentically and in alignment with our values. With this focus on simplicity and how Stoicism invites us to eliminate the superfluous, we prepare ourselves for delving into the transformative power of gratitude and how Stoics focus on what they have instead of lamenting what they lack. Practicing gratitude. We encounter a powerful practice that has transcended time. Practicing gratitude. It is an attitude that not only strengthens our resilience, but also transforms our perspective on the world around us. Stoics, often considered rational individuals, have always emphasized the importance of valuing what we already have. It is a constant reminder that, while we cannot always control what happens around us, we always have control over how we interpret and react to those circumstances. Epictetus, an ancient Stoic philosopher, taught us that it is not what happens that disturbs us, but our opinion about what happens. Practicing gratitude is essentially choosing to see the richness in the present instead of focusing on what we believe is lacking. But how does this practice manifest in daily life? Let's take William B. Irvine, a contemporary author who has delved into modern Stoicism, as an example. Irvine suggests a daily exercise where, at the beginning and end of the day, we take a moment to reflect on 3 things we are grateful for. These can be simple gestures like the singing of a bird or the aroma of coffee in the morning, or more significant events like health or the company of loved ones. To understand the importance of gratitude, imagine waking up one day and everything you took for granted disappears. What would you do to regain it? Now think about all the things and situations you have at this moment. Isn't it reason enough to be grateful? Gratitude, in its essence, is a choice, and when we choose it, we not only strengthen our inner peace, but also illuminate the path for those around us. With a heart full of gratitude and recognizing its transformative power, we prepare ourselves for the next signal, which will discuss the strength of mental independence and how Stoics choose to walk less traveled paths based on their own discernment. Mental independence. Navigating the depths of Stoic philosophy, we encounter a powerfully resonant idea: mental independence. We live in a world inundated with information, opinions, and trends that often urge us to follow the crowd, adhere to the norm, and be just one more in the multitude. However, the Stoic dares to be different, dares to question, reflect, and above all follow their own judgment. Massimo Pigliucci, a contemporary philosopher who has revitalized discussions about Stoicism, argues that it is essential to learn to distinguish between external voices and our internal voice. It's not about automatically rejecting what is popular or what others think, but critically examining it and deciding if it truly resonates with our values and principles. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine all your friends are buying the latest smartphone on the market, and social pressure pushes you to do the same. A Stoic would pause and reflect, do I really need this new device? Will it genuinely add value to my life? Or am I being influenced by advertising and others' opinions? This kind of self-questioning allows the Stoic to make decisions based on their genuine needs rather than passing whims or external pressures. Furthermore, mental independence also manifests in the ability to discern and question the information we consume daily. In times of massive and often contradictory information, the Stoic strives to go beyond headlines, investigate sources, and reach their own conclusions. In a world where it's easy to get lost in the noise, mental independence is a guiding light that leads the Stoic through the turbulent waters of modern society, ensuring that their internal compass always points towards what is authentic and true for them. Commitment to self-improvement. As we approach the end of our journey through the signals of a Stoic personality, we find a characteristic that could lead to an unceasing quest for personal growth and how Stoics strive daily to be the best version of themselves. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." This reflects the constant aspiration of the Stoic to grow, learn, and improve. It's not just about acquiring new knowledge or skills, but a genuine desire to become the best version of oneself morally and ethically. Consider, for example, how a Stoic approaches their education. Instead of settling for the basics or what is required, they seek courses, readings, and experiences that expand their perspective and help them grow as individuals. If a challenging book comes out, they read it not for the author's fame or prestige, but because they see it as an opportunity to learn and refine their understanding of the world. Even in small things, the commitment to self-improvement is evident, whether it's the decision to wake up early for meditation or exercise, or the conscious effort to practice patience and empathy in difficult situations. Reflecting on this journey we've undertaken together, I invite you, dear listener, to consider if you dedicate time each day or each week to your self-improvement. Are you living in accordance with your highest values and always seeking growth? After exploring these signals, it becomes evident that the Stoic personality is not simply a series of habits or behaviors. It is a profound way of seeing and approaching the world based on principles of wisdom, courage, and authenticity. We have navigated from emotional control and acceptance to introspection and the constant aspiration for self-improvement. How many of these signals do you see reflected in yourself? Do you identify more with some than others? I invite you to reflect on this, not to judge yourself, but to recognize and value those parts of you that are already aligned with these principles and consider those that you could more fully incorporate into your life. I hope it will be helpful for you. I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. I'll be delighted to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Take care and see you soon.